I'm sorry. I was talking way so much about the good stuff of the game. I completely did not know that the time ran out, though. It could have maybe at least given me a sound. I mean, also, I wasn't paying attention, so... So in case you didn't see what parts I mentioned, I pretty much mentioned the good stuff like graphics, story, characters, and that sort of stuff. Then I also mentioned a bit of the controls, the glitches and stuff. So I'll just want to remind you, in case maybe if I didn't really mention it in the first part, I'll remind you again. Like glitches completely fucked me up in the side missions. That stuff completely can fuck you up. And sometimes the game takes forever to load on that due to low frame rate at some points of the game and stuff. So that's just to remind people in case I have said it in the last part. If I didn't, then I'm sorry if I didn't really mention it. Well, yeah. So now let's get to more of the bad stuff. My first negative toward the game are some of the enemies in the game though. Now, don't get me wrong though, I can understand that Arkham City also reused some of the same similar enemies from the first Arkham Asylum game. Actually, however, like you have the simple enemy that just the basic average fire. You got some enemies that have knives and that can hold knives, some with shields, some with body armor where you have to do a different combo to try to hit them. And you also got the two big buffy guys who you have to use the cape to try to stun them and stuff. The same thing. And to be completely fair though, they just repeat the same enemies. They just repeat the same enemies actually. And I'll be completely fair though, to be completely fair, they didn't even add in new enemies. They even brought back the snipers and that were already in the previous games for that matter. Really. They did however add in one new enemy that was not in the previous games though. And that's a ninja style enemy actually. He knows the martial artists of the game. What is the martial artists of the game actually? As you can tell, they're ninjas actually. They're pretty much ninjas like the female ninjas actually from Arkham City, which by the way, they make an appearance back here as well. Yeah, but they barely make an appearance at all compared to the previous game. Anyways, back to the martial arts. They pretty much actually will attack noise. However, unlike a normal enemy where you only press the counter button only once though, the ninja enemies actually require you to sometimes they require you to press the counter button twice actually to counter back all their attacks. And when you attack an enemy, either the mark that reminds you to press the counter button appears, and by count you can knock them out though. And I admit that it gets really interesting with this new enemy they added to the game that wasn't really in the previous games at all. Well, other than that though, they pretty much just brought back the same enemies. Like, they didn't add any new ones in it to make it more interesting. And quite honestly though, it does make the beat up combat scene a little bit more repetitive though. Just a slightly more repetitive though to the game. And like I mentioned before, because there's way too many enemies, a lot of times in that's also when it completely screws you over and merely frustrates you. And a lot of times also that the counter button sometimes does not work when you're in the middle of doing an attack. It's not, and I find that kind of a bit odd, because that's my other negatives, that sometimes the X button I don't know if either I'm not timing right, or maybe I'm just doing it too early, or whatever, but pretty much when I'm doing the middle of an attack, well, an enemy comes up behind me and has the symbol that tells you to do the counter button. I press the counter button and then, oh, he hits me for fine, but I mashed the X button, crazy, and it didn't work. Which is really frustrating. I don't know maybe if they removed that timing thing from Arkham City and made it harder, or maybe something like that. Yeah, but I really am not sure though. But I'll be completely fair though, I'm not really entirely sure though. I'm not really sure. No. Though. In Arkham City though, when you press the X button even during the middle counter, it cancels your combo so you can counter back the other opponent behind. I think what WB Montreal did in Arkham Origins though, I think maybe they removed that just to make it more harder actually. And if you hit your opponent then see, and you press the X, you can still counter back though. But if you're still in the animation of punching like, and the enemy comes up behind you, and then you try to press X, even if you try to time right, it does not work. So when it comes to a ton of enemies at camera, it really gets frustrating really fast. Trust me on that. Anyway, actually. Now, I do have one more negative, though, toward the game. I do have one more negative to mention. My last and final negative, actually, is I think WB Montreal focused way too much on the beat-em-up gameplay compared to the stealth gameplay. Now, don't get me completely wrong, though. You still have a lot of stealth gameplay, like whether if it's maybe inside a building or maybe inside the city. Now, you still got the stealth gameplay, a lot of stealth gameplay, just like see that. However, in Arkham City, though, what made the gameplay really non-repetitive and stuff was that it had a good mixed balance of beat-em-up gameplay and stealth gameplay. It had a great mixture of both of them together into one game. It also very similar to the recent Splinter Cell Blacklist game that I have in that. It's very similar to that game, actually. But in Arkham Origins, however, even though there still is a lot of stealth gameplay, I think they focus too much on the beat-em-up gameplay. When you personally go inside buildings, the majority of the buildings you enter in don't have any stealth gameplay at all. They really don't. All they have is just the same basic beat-em-up gameplay in that. And I'll be completely honest, if the whole gameplay was pretty much nothing but beat-em-up and very little to no stealth gameplay, the gameplay would have been very repetitive. And I'll be honest, the beat-up gameplay a lot of times can get repetitive. But if you actually have, but when you get to levels or parts of the game that have a lot of stealth gameplay, but also a little bit of gameplay in that's when the gameplay will start to get addicting again. And that's just one of my complaints, though. And there is one more negative I want to say about the Wii U version of Arkham Origins. The Wii U version of Arkham Origins doesn't have multiplayer. Great. No. So why is there no multiplayer mode in the Wii U version of Arkham Origins anyway? It's actually very simple. Warner Bros. Actually announced a few months back that the Wii U version of Arkham Origins would not get Wii multiplayer base, mainly because that there's not that many there's not a huge multiplayer fan base or multiplayer audience on the Wii U console. Which I completely maybe understand that reason, because it does have a small space, though. At least for now, though. At least maybe for now. But there's only one thing I don't quite understand, though. Actually. Warner Bros. Said the same thing when it comes to Injustice Gods Among Us, the Ultimate Edition. They said that it's not coming to the Ultimate Edition of Injustice. Didn't come to Wii U because it doesn't have a big fan base. But you look at PS Vita, however, yet the PS Vita has a twice more smallest multiplayer base than the Wii U. Good job, Warner Brothers. Good job. Now that's pretty much it for all my goods and my negative stuff. So what do I give the game a rating out of? Now I'm actually going to give similar to someone I did on a couple games actually, and some other ones or whatever, I'm going to give it maybe 2 ratings of the game. I'm going to give it a regular rating based off a game by itself, but a second rating for a Batman game. Now, personally, in my opinion, I actually really like the game a lot, though. Despite some of the frustrating glitches, lack of new enemies and stuff like that, though, I definitely did like the story of the game. I definitely thought a lot of the characters were pretty good. The graphics are still good despite some low frame rate issues. Wasn't that pretty good gameplay, lots of replay value, lots of side content, and a really decent lengthy story and that stuff. As a game by itself, actually, because of the no multiplayer mode for the Wii U version and also some of the flaws, okay, I pretty much give the game as a game by itself an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10 as the game by itself, though. But as a Batman game, however, for Batman fans, this game sticks almost as close, if not true, to Arkham City and that stuff. Same positives and that. Despite calling names, it has pretty much almost the same positives from Arkham City. As a Batman game, I actually give it a 9 out of 10 for a Batman game. As a game by itself, it's an 8 out of 10. It's actually one of my favorite games this year, alongside pretty much Wonderful 101, Pikmin 3, Rayman Legends, and a couple of other games, actually. Some of my favorite ones, actually. It's definitely one of my favorite games, actually. So like I said, So like I said, the game by itself gets an 8 out of 10. As a Batman game, a 9 out of 10. So thank you very much everyone for watching. So now, I want to actually ask you guys a question. What do you personally think of Batman Arkham Origins? Is it maybe as good as Arkham City and Arkham Asylum? Is it maybe really bad? Or is it pretty much an average game? Actually. And I would also ask some of those who got this on the other consoles that play the multiplayer. How is the multiplayer of the game anyway? Is the multiplayer mode very good? Is it actually pretty bad? Or do you think maybe the Wii version should have maybe gotten the multiplayer mode? Or do you think maybe it definitely was lucky to not have it? Let me know in the comments below what you think of this review and my questions and that stuff. And I'll see you guys later for the next review, which will be Sonic Lost World, which will be next week after I beat the game. Now keep in mind though, I hadn't beaten this game 100% yet. I still have a lot of Sonic content to do. So thanks for watching, I'll see you later.